name is KJ, and you're listening to the Supernatural Opinions podcast, where some things in this world are supernatural. My pronouns are she, they, and this is the podcast where I talk to my fellow Supernatural fans about Supernatural, and we share our Supernatural opinions.
Carry on. Possibly the worst named episode because no one is left to carry on at the end of this episode.
I'm so afraid.
I get what they were trying to do. I get what they were going for, but at the same time, I have no idea what they were going for with that name because it doesn't make sense. Okay, so because it's been a little while, I included a recap of where we were left with things.
Wow, you're so amazing.
Sam and Dean and Jack were the last people left alive, besides Michael and that one dog. The dog's named Miracle. Jack became a cosmic Dyson for energy and power, and they used that to beat God and turn him into a powerless human with the power of God's bad parenting.
Okay, so what I've been thinking about this a lot. What I would want them to do is somehow make it so monsters, like heaven and hell, were somehow balanced, and somehow Sam and Dean would not have to hunt anymore. They would be out of it.
If I was Jack, I've said this a couple of times in the past, but never to you because you've never been here before.
Right.
If I were Jack and I suddenly, was bringing everyone back who God had killed, which was literally everyone, including monsters, animals, everything, I would just not bring monsters back. Like, that would be my solution. Like, that is
genius. That is exactly, that is what I would want to. That is exactly what I was picturing. Somehow not having them have to hunt anymore, and then that's just the end. They don't have to hunt anymore, and they can live their lives however they want to.
But yeah, that's basically, we left off with Jack becoming God and no real answers. So You would think, going to this episode, here's the timeline of what we've been through. The confession scene, the world went empty, they reconnected, a day had maybe passed, some time, unknown amount of time passed between that and them confronting Chuck to ask to unalive each other.
6 months and 5 years pass.
Yeah. So they beat Chuck. Jack brings everyone back, then leaves to be God. We all felt that a short amount of time had passed between 1519 and 1520. The script says, / the creators have said, more time has passed, like between 6 months and 5 years. We don't have answers on that.
That is such a long range. That's already upsetting. I'm already annoyed.
It doesn't really matter either way because it was 1 week for us.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not me because I didn't watch this live, so it was about 3 minutes, probably tops.
I'm already annoyed.
So we start off with the breakfast montage.
Pick up the dog.
Yeah, so they did keep the dog. There's a few minute montage. It's not really a montage, but it's just Sam and Dean going through their morning routines
I miss
together.
him and his hair towel, and oh my god,
Sam and his
so
hair
good.
towel was a highlight. Dean lets the dog lick the plates. Sam does laundry. He kicks that laundry machine when it shakes too much.
Mm-hmm.
This might be the highlight of the episode. But you would really stop here if you were going to watch this. Like, you just want to see this little montage.
Okay. Even this, I'm really glad I got to see this.
Yeah, I feel like you needed to see Jared with his hair towel.
Yes.
And
Yes. I mean, I have never gotten my hair towel that perfect and beautiful.
I feel like Jared had practice and probably also a hair and makeup team. But we also see Dean making the bed. He does kind of a crappy job of it. And meanwhile, Sam's got precision corners. But they're just chilling in the bunker with the dog.
Mm-hmm.
Dean discovers a pie festival is happening. This is Dean's destiny. He gets legitimately emotional when they roll up.
I mean,
Sam is feeling a little bit sad though because he misses Cass and Jack, and Dean says they have to live and make Cass's sacrifice worthwhile. Dean calls Sam an Eeyore. He says, "Don't be an Eeyore about it," because it's not like Cass died, saving them out of love or anything. Dean's more emotional about the pie festival than he is about this conversation they have.
Okay.
Sam makes himself feel better by smushing a piece of pie in Dean's face, which we all appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
That's really all you need to know about the pie festival. Then we get our monster of the week, because this is a monster of the week episode somehow.
What?
We have vampires wearing these scary clown masks. As you can see, they're not a great time.
That's so unnecessary.
This is legitimately a case out of John Sturrell. John had tracked these vampires and then just kind of stopped for reasons we don't know about.
This is not where I thought things would go. This is so not where I thought it was going.
Oh, you are not prepared for where this is going. And we also have Jenny the vampire. Oh, you don't remember Jenny the vampire? It's because she wasn't named in her episode. She was in Dead Man's Blood in season 1.
Okay, hi.
She was that girl that got turned into a vampire in that episode and like ran off with the vampires when John brought out the cold.
Mm-hmm. I do remember her when you put the picture side by side, but like,
yeah.
Okay.
I was trying to find more pictures of her from Devon, but that's legitimately like pretty much the only picture where you can see her face clearly.
Oh my
because
gosh.
she legitimately doesn't even have a name in that episode. It is bad. Basically, they take the kids and they either kill the adults or they take out their tongues. So the only thing that they have to go on are these, like, people are drawing these clown masks that they wear.
Mm-hmm.
So they go and they track one down and they threaten to torture him until he gives up the location where they're keeping the most recent kid victims.
This feels like a waste of the last episode. I'm feeling some wasted time.
There's a big fight, then Jenny appears, and then there's more of a fight. And that's when we get into the barn scene. The vamps are big mad about Jenny getting beheaded, and in the fight, a really big one slams Dean into a post with a protruding piece of rebar, and Dean Winchester dies. It takes a full 7.5 minutes. I timed it because it's the only way I could rewatch the scene without emotionally damaging myself if I distracted myself with something meaningless.
No one comes to his funeral?
So, yeah, Sam and Miracle burn Dean's body. No one comes to Dean's funeral. We'll circle back to that later. It is a full 7.5 minutes.
I'm glad I didn't watch this. I'm glad in my heart.
Yeah, saying a big goodbye. Sam and the dog are then left alone. Sam and Miracle are wandering through the bunker. They're going through the motions of the day-to-day, like kind of similar to what we saw in the breakfast montage, but like minus Dean. Like there's no one to grab the toast. Sam is like crying and the dog is just like putting its head in Sam's lap, trying to like be a dog. Dean had a job application on his desk. He was going to retire. Sam gets a call from a cop that Donna knows looking for Dean using the alias John Bon Jovi. He decides to take the case. He brings Miracle. It's really clear he's not coming back to the bunker. This is when the episode diverges.
Okay.
So, you might recall last call, you can't rapture a car. It was a good car. Baby makes it to heaven. Dean arrives in heaven, where Bobby is waiting to explain that heaven is different now. Their trusty green cooler is present. Jack has rebuilt heaven with the help of Cass. Does this mean that Cass is okay? We don't know. Because Cass is not here, so we're just left to make assumptions. Does Dean ask any follow-up questions about this? Absolutely not. The only thing going into this episode that we didn't really have an answer for was if Cass was going to be okay, and this episode did not answer that at all. Dean says, I think he'll go for a drive in Baby, who has appeared in heaven. Mm-hmm. There's a needle drop on Carry On Wayward Son by Kansas. This will be important in the next slide. Meanwhile, while Dean is driving, Sam is going through his life. He is raising his son, Dean Jr., with his nameless, faceless partner, the Blurry Wife. You can see her in this picture of Sam playing catch with his son. She's standing on the porch that says, focus on her as we get.
Wow.
She is the Blurry Wife, registered trademark.
Oh my god, what is actually happening?
As Sam gets older, they stick Jared in the world's worst wig, unaffectionately known as the Party City wig. You can see it there.
This whole slide, and my eyes immediately went right there to dirty looking Sam in a whole terrible wig. That's offensive. And why is he so upset? Okay.
In that scene, Sam is going into his garage where Baby is like parked in the garage, clearly not being used. And he just gets in the driver's seat and he just cries in the car for a minute. It's fine. He's old, he's sad, he's lonely.
I mean, could they have put like any age makeup on him at all? Like they just stuck a wig on him. Hello?
Dean Jr. grows up to be a Wish version of Joaquin from Riverdale. Sorry to this actor, it's not the same actor. It's not his fault that he looks that way. He just really reminded me of...
Okay. No, I get the vibe. That's a good comparison. I cannot believe this.
Yeah, the only thing about Dean's heaven that he wasn't super satisfied with was that Sam wasn't there. Heaven is a lot better, I will admit. Jack did a good job. We don't see anybody except for Bobby, but they're sitting outside of Harvell's in that scene. Mm-hmm. And Bobby says heaven is like what it was supposed to be. It's not just memories anymore. Like everybody's there. Mm-hmm. John and Mary are there. Rufus is there. Ellen and Joe are there. Ash is there.
Aww.
We don't see anybody, but we just are meant to know that they're there. It's not so much in Sam at the end. Sam gets super old and dies with his son at his bedside. Zero mention of Blurry Wife. Is she alive? Is she dead?
That's a crime.
There's another version of Carry On Wayward Son by Neody, which plays. It's less than a minute has elapsed since the Kansas version ended. It is back to back on the Carry On Wayward Sons.
What have they done?
Dean stopped driving. He gets out of baby. He's on a bridge. He's having a peaceful moment. Sam is dying. And all of a sudden, Sam appears behind him on the bridge and they're reunited. Sam's young again with his much better hair. They fade to black like we're going to go to the credits. But instead of going to the credits, we break the fourth wall. And Jensen and Jared thank us for watching 15 seasons. Then there's about 50 to 100 crew people now on the bridge with them. And we're like zooming out so we can see everybody. Then Robert Singer comes in and does a voiceover and says, and cut. And then they cut to the credits for real. It's an awkward fourth wall break. Like, it technically after the episode, like, you could definitely stop beforehand. But, like, for me, I was like, I could have used another minute without having a fourth wall break. Like, did this need to be a part of the episode? Some fun facts, some things that didn't make the cut. Because of COVID, the only person who made to heaven was OG Bobby. That's the other thing. Bobby was OG Bobby.
Right. Right.
The plan was to canonically kill off the band Kansas, have them perform a concert in the Heaven Roadhouse with as many of our dead loved ones as we could get back. Blurry Wife was always intended to be Blurry registered trademark, which means it was never supposed to be Eileen.
Oh, that hurt me.
It's right in like the original like scripts that Blurry Wife is Blurry. They chose not to include scenes that were in the script that easily could have been filmed in quarantine, including Jody, Eileen, Rowena, and AU Charlie finding out that Dean had died and reacting. Those all could have been filmed individually.
Because Eileen is alive then, but it's not Eileen?
Yeah, like presumably we're left to assume that Jack brought everyone back who was not, which would include Eileen and like AU Charlie and Jody and everyone.
Okay.
Perhaps most criminal of all, it's a deleted scene that surfaced. Like, this was filmed and everything. We can watch it later. Of the boys driving to one of the vampire-related things. Dean's worrying about leaving Miracle at doggy daycare, and it turns into a driver picks the music, a shotgun shuts his cake hole moment.
Oh,
it was right in that script there. But yeah, considered one of the least satisfying season finales. I can't even describe like how bad. Like, it just got progressively worse.
I am way more pleased with my decision than I thought I would be. I'm so happy I didn't watch this. Oh my god.
It was a revelation to watch 1519 with you and like know that you weren't gonna watch this. It allowed me to watch 1519 like I hadn't watched this for the first time ever. I knew other people who had only watched up to 1519 and I was like, yeah, but how did you stop? But you know what? I got it. Like 1519 ended in a perfectly fine place. This was a train wreck, and
This is such a train wreck. I actually cannot believe how much of a train wreck it is. I mean, I knew it was bad, obviously. Like, you can't help but hear that everybody hated it, but that's horrible.
I can't explain to you how bad the 7.5 minutes of Dean dying is.
Oh my god.
It is long, it is drawn out. Dean's just dying, and the only person there is Sam. So Sam is like obviously upset, and like it's a whole thing. 7.5 minutes. It takes forever. It's like the most painful 7.5 minutes, which is a significant part of a like 45-minute episode. It's wild.
I'm honestly speechless. I'm so glad I didn't watch this. I would have been so mad.
I had nightmares about it, to be honest. It was terrible.
Oh my god. I can't believe I'm speechless.
But yeah, that is it.
Wow, you did a wonderful job. I feel caught up and mad, but not scarred. I'm glad that I didn't watch it. I'm so much more glad than I ever thought I would be.
That was the goal. I'm gonna include those slides in the podcast linktree, and I might edit this together for a bonus episode of the podcast.
That's a travesty. Yeah, no, I totally do that if you want. I'm speechless.
I'm going to stop recording so we can unpack this.
I've been KJ. You can find me on all social media platforms at Life Messes of KJ, except for TikTok, where you can now find me at SPN Opinions KJ. If you want to be on the podcast, you can either reach out to me there, or you can reach out through the podcast social media. You can email the podcast. Our email address is supernaturalopinionspodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter at SPN Opinions Pod. We are Supernatural Opinions